In this lecture, we will try to understand life cycle of an applet. What does it mean? Applet goes through different stages of execution between its birth and death. Between its birth and death. I will repeat. Applet goes through different stages of execution between its birth and death. Many of these stages are called implicitly. All these stages are called implicitly. Called implicitly means we need not call it. Implicitly by the browsers runtime environment. I will repeat. Let me repeat. Applet goes through different stages of execution between its birth and death. Many of these stages are called implicitly by the browser's runtime environment. This implicit is important. What does it mean? We need not call those stages. Applet itself, the browser itself will call all these stages. I can say there are 4 methods. How many methods? There are 4 methods. There are 4 methods in the life cycle and all are defined. All these 4 methods are defined in a class known as applet. There are 4 methods in the life cycle and all are defined in applet class. In this life cycle, applet also uses, in the life cycle of applet, it also make use a method known as paint method. There is a method known as paint method. It is not it but it's a big but it is not defined. It is not defined in where it is not defined in applet class. What does it mean? Paint method is not part of applet method. I will repeat. There are 4 methods in the life cycle and all are defined in applet class. In this life cycle, applet also uses paint method, but it is not defined in applet class but defined in component class inherited by the applet class. Anyway, I will discuss what is that component class in future classes. Time being, just understand applet makes use paint method, but actually this paint is not part of applet life cycle. Let me say one by one method. How many? Let me discuss one by one. My first method, let me say like this. Yes, my first method is, what is first method in applet life cycle? Init. This method name init. When an object of applet is executed, when an object of the applet is created, this is important, is created, the browser, we already discussed browser will execute applet, isn't it? The browser calls init method. The browser calls init method. In init, even though object is created, applet is inactive. Applet is inactive. And thereby not eligible not eligible. It is not eligible. I can say I can say it is not eligible for microprocessor time. Micro or CPU, let me say otherwise. Microprocessor time, isn't it? It is equivalent to, init is equivalent to, init it is equivalent to constructor, equivalent to constructor. We already discussed what is constructor, isn't it? It is equivalent to constructor. Generally we create threads where which type of code you can keep in it. Threads related code, a code related to threads, related to loading images. If you want to load images, just keep them that particular code in init method. Even if you want to setting background, if you want to set for setting background related code, setting background related code, and foreground colors, even you can keep foreground colors, foreground colors, isn't it? These type of codes you can keep in init method, isn't it? This is about init method. Now we will try to understand next method, that is start method. What is the start? We will try to understand. Start. The init method implicitly calls, this is important, init method implicitly calls start method. Just try to recall which one will call init method. Browser will call. That's what I discussed. Browser will call init method. The init method implicitly calls the start method. Implicitly calls start method. In start method, applet becomes active. In start method, your applet becomes active. It's an active. I can say in start method, applet becomes active and thereby eligible. It is eligible for what? For microprocessor time. But just try to recall in init method, it is not eligible for microprocessor time, whereas in start method it is eligible for microprocessor time. We will try to understand in detailed manner about this particular start method when we demonstrate this applet, when we discuss programs on applet. Time being, just let me try to move further. Let me say there another method, paint method. This method is paint method. This method, as I told you, this method does not belongs to the life cycle, of an applet. Does not belongs to the life cycle of an applet, but used by, but it's a big but used by the applet, very often. We will try to understand with the help of simple programs. This method is not required directly for program execution. Not required for program execution. Not required for program execution. Not required. This method is not required directly for program execution. We use paint method to draw graphics. What is the purpose of this paint method? Paint method is useful to draw graphics. I can say to draw strings. If you want to draw strings, I need I need paint method to draw graphics. I need paint method on to draw graphics, comma strings on where. Where can you draw all these things? On an applet window. On an applet window. We will see how it works. This method called by start method. Which one will it call? Start method will call. Start method will call. I will repeat, paint method. This method is called by start method, and also when we resize the applet, this is important. This point is very important. When you resize applet, when you resize applet window, this particular method, paint method, will be called. We will try to understand how it can be called when you resize an applet window with the help of simple applet program, maybe in my next class. This is about paint method. There is another method. I can say what is fourth method. Let me say fourth one, stop method. Stop, isn't it? When the applet is iconified, browser calls stop method. In stop method, applet is inactive. It's an inactive. What's the meaning of inactive? Inactive means it's not eligible for processor time or microprocessor time, or I can say CPU time. This is called implicitly. Who will call? This is called implicitly. The stop method called. This is called implicitly. By whom? By browser. Who will call this method implicitly? By browser. When the applet is iconified. We will try to understand this one. Yes. What about my last method, fifth method? That one is destroy method. This destroy. What does it mean? When we close applet, when we close the applet, the browser calls, which one will it call? Calls stop method. It calls stop method. And stop method. Let me say, I will repeat. When we close the applet, the browser calls stop method, and stop method in turn calls destroy. Isn't it? It calls destroy method. We use this method. What is the use of this destroy method? This method is useful. We use this method to close sockets. I can close sockets. I will discuss all these things. What is sockets? To close sockets, comma, network connections. If you want to close network connection, if you want to close sockets, I need destroy method. Init and destroy. This point is important. Init and destroy. Init and destroy methods are called. These methods are called. This point is important. I will repeat. Init and destroy methods are called only once. That is important. Only once in life cycle. This point is important. Init and destroy methods are called only once in life cycle, but start and stop methods, but but start, let me say, but start and stop methods called a number of times to make applet active and inactive, isn't it? This can be called many times, and start and stop I can say like this. Let me assume this is my init method. This is first one. This is next. Where will I go? I must go to start. This is start method, isn't it? Next, this I can say paint method. Let me assume this is paint. This one from, let me say, this is from paint. I can write stop method. This is something like stop method. From stop I can say destroy method. Let me say this is destroy method. What happens from stop method? From stop method, where can I go? I can go to start method, isn't it? In it, from stop, either I can go to start method or I can go to destroy method. This is, I can say, life cycle. This is, I can say, life cycle of applet. We will try to understand all these methods with the help of simple program in my next lecture. Thank you very much.